Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. We're the Road to Glory podcast. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Cecilia. And welcome to everyone who may be new to the podcast. We are finally actually growing quite a bit in our subscribers. So very much shout out to whoever recently subscribed. We love to have you here. So now, as you all know, we usually talk about F2, F3, and F1 Academy here on the podcast. Sadly, obviously, we are on a break, quite a longer break as well than anticipated. But fear not, because obviously we are here, and we are here every single Wednesday. So in this specific episode, we are here to talk about the Formula E rookie test that was recently held in Madrid.
Yes, which is very important because a lot of the rookies are feeder series drivers. So we are going to be talking about some people that you may know, some people that you might not know. So we'll be introducing you to them, giving you a little backstory on them, and then also just kind of covering what happened in the test. Now, if you think Formula 2, Formula 3, F1 Academy is bad with giving information out about testing, Formula E in the rookie test, oh my gosh, we really got the bare minimum information and a timing sheet that you could watch. I was hoping it would be streamed on YouTube because I have a lot of favorites who were in the car, but oh no, it's fine. So we'll just be giving you the information that we have, and dipping our toe into Formula E because we don't usually cover it, but we both love the series so much. So yeah, we kind of hope you enjoy this episode.
Yes, and for your information, we're both kind of new to Formula E, but obviously, as you mentioned, we are very excited about the series, and we also do want to create more content about Formula E. So this is definitely a nice little segue, you can say, from our usual feeder series content. Now that so many of these drivers actually are here in the rookie test, so I guess now we're talking about the drivers. We can start with talking about who actually participated in the test.
Yes. All 10 teams had to field 2 rookies, but they could choose who they wanted to have behind the wheel. A lot of the teams already have these rookies actually embedded as reserve drivers or development drivers. But starting out with Andretti, we had Freddie Slater and Callum Boysen, which was such a good lineup. Really interesting to see Freddie coming over to Formula E. Big prospect in F3, but also kind of moving into the other world in motorsports. And Callum Boysen, who has recently moved over to Porsches, now with Andretti. I will say one thing to note, there was a post by Louis Sharp saying that he was meant to be doing the rookie test. So I'm just wondering who he replaced because he was meant to be doing it with Andretti. But obviously, because of what happened in Australia with the crash between him and James Walton, he was not fit to do the rookie test.
No, very sad to see that Louis Sharp unfortunately hasn't recovered fully yet, so he's not ready to do this test. I'm sure he'll get the opportunity again in the future whenever he's ready for it. But yeah, it is interesting, like, which of the drivers then, Freddie or Callum, did they call in instead of him?
It definitely feels like Callum. I mean, Freddie is such an established driver. I can't imagine them calling him up at last minute. But it was very exciting to see them both in the test. And then moving on to Citroën, we had Théophile, which not a feeder series driver anymore, having won series in F2. But nice to see him kind of moving over because I know he did ELMS last year and I think he's in WEC this year. So I like to see the drivers that are kind of spreading out over different series. So it was interesting to see him. But his teammate was Joshua Dirksen at Citroën, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It is nice to see Joshua Dirksen also like dipping his toes into Formula E, because we do typically see like a lot of the F2 drivers getting these rookie tests, because obviously it's not everyone that's going to make it to F1. It is good to like even if they don't foresee themselves necessarily going to Formula E, it's still nice practice of like learning a new car and like how fast you can adapt your driving skills, which is crucial in whatever series you're gonna go to. But yeah, interesting lineup, I will still say, because like it's like a Mercedes development driver takeover for whatever reason.
Yes! Citroen were like, we're gonna partner with Mercedes on this and just take your juniors.
Yes, now with Theo Pocher, as you mentioned, not quite a feeder series driver anymore, but he is a feeder series graduate. He is going to be driving for Peugeot in WEC or WEC this season. So like very like for those who don't know, I feel like most people who are in the feeder series world will know, but if anyone are new to the feeder series world from like obviously now it has been a couple of years since Theo has been part of the feeder series. He's a French driver, so it very much makes sense both with his like WEC seat being a French team and now also with Citroën being a French team here in Formula E. So like that connection is definitely there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Joshua Dirksen was a little bit out left field,
Yeah.
but I like the combination.
Yes, interesting to see for sure. But moving on to Cupra Kiro. Now, a very interesting mix of their lineup because probably as expected, we had Bianca Bustamante in one of the cars. She's obviously partnered up with Cupra Kiro in the past, so very nice to see her getting more opportunities with them. But Kian Shields, current F2 driver, joining them here for the rookie test.
Yeah, Bianca makes a lot of sense. She's their development driver, so I could see them putting her in the car at every opportunity, like in the FP0s that they've had before. But Keen Shields was, and with Cooper Kiro as well, it makes sense because Cooper Kiro are a team that are based actually in Silverstone, and Keen is, well, he races under the Scottish flag. So I'm kind of, that's making sense in my mind. But otherwise, it was a bit of a random one. But nice to see him get his debut in a Formula E car.
Yes, definitely. Also, after last season, he also had an FP1 session in F1. So the man is getting places, that is for sure. Hopefully, it will also help him maybe perform better in F2. You know, it never hurts getting more time in any car. So it will be interesting to see with that. But yeah, interesting lineup for Cupra Kiro.
Exactly. And then moving on to DS Penske, who, I mean, we've actually just got the announcement that DS are leaving Formula E and they've got a new team in for next year. Just now that we're talking about Formula E, now I'm giving you all the information. But we had Nikita Bedrin, who I feel like we haven't seen Nikita in ages. I actually miss him, and he's a link to that team. I think he did the FP0 with them in Miami a couple weeks ago. So very nice to see him. We miss you, Nikita.
Nikita is kind of an interesting driver because if you look at his career recently, he used to drive in F3 for a couple of seasons. Then the whole weird AIX thing happened last year where they were like, put him back out again. Like, I think, I don't even know what's up with that. But obviously he did do some time in F3, but now, for whatever reason, he is back down to GB3 this season, which obviously kind of not the natural progression, kind of step backward, but will be interesting to see, however, what he can do in that series. And also nice to see him trying out some more time in the Formula E car.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, obviously now a driver that's definitely not a feeder series driver, like hasn't been for a long time. They also had Daniel Kvyat joining them, which he is a Formula E rookie, so like obviously he can do the test, but definitely a bit older than most of the drivers doing the test.
Yeah, when you see what all these drivers are racing in at the moment, and then you see him, it's a little bit like, oh, why are you here? But you know what? It's never too late to join Formula E. So let's see what he can do.
Yes. Also, it isn't like it is a young driver test like we have in F1. It is really just like a rookie test, like the FP1 sessions are in F1, where you can also pick like whoever you want, as long as they haven't done any races in the series. So yeah, Nice lineup for them. Now, moving on to Envision Racing. I feel like I had to give you this one.
Well, for those of you who don't know, and I don't think I've mentioned it too many times on the podcast, a couple times, I'm a very, very big fan. Actually, I like both of their lineup here. I'll start out with Ella Lloyd, who we all know from F1 Academy. She has been connected with Envision in the past, so it's really nice to see her keeping that partnership going. I could definitely see them testing with her again. And then we get on to I think he's actually their reserve driver this year. Like, he is very much embedded in that team. We have one of my favorite drivers of all time, just spanning across everything, Zach O'Sullivan, who we miss. We miss in F2. Me. Um, I'm so happy to see him getting more time in that car. He's had a lot of sessions out with them, and I'm just like crossing my fingers that he can get a seat somewhere in the Formula E paddock next year, because he is racing in Super Formula this year in Japan. But that time zone is horrible for races for me. So I'll stop talking because I'll talk about Zach forever. But it was so nice to see him out in the car and performing well, because in Miami when he did the FP0, he did actually top the times. And I know that's like a 40-minute session or whatever, but like, come on, guys, give him a seat.
Yes, we would definitely love to see Zach back at some European racing series, preferably Formula E, of course, because we do really like Formula E here. But yeah, he's definitely a driver that deserves more than he's getting at the moment. Sadly, of course, his feeder series career in F2 was cut short. Only a half season in Formula 2 due to funding issues. So would be very nice to see if now he can obviously perform well in Super Formula, also like make the connections needed in Formula E, and who knows, maybe he'll be able to get a full-time seat at some point.
Yeah, I'm really begging for that. But I think we can probably move on to Jaguar TCS Racing. I'm going to give them their full name. And we had a driver, I mean, a lineup that we haven't really seen that much before, but they had a female driver by the name of Juju Noda. And one thing to note about her is she made history by becoming the first Japanese woman to race in Super Formula, which is what we were just talking about. So really interesting to see her with the partnership with Jaguar. I think they fielded her in the all-women's test that they had last year, at the end of last year. So yeah, interesting to see her back in the rookie test.
Yes, definitely a interesting driver. We love to see more female drivers getting these opportunities, because this is something we've touched upon before in the podcast, that obviously the Formula E do have the full women's test they do before the start of each season, as you mentioned, where Juju Noda was also part of the Jaguar lineup. However, it is really positive to see that those connections that are made in the women's test also carries on into the like regular rookie tests, where it's not just to like say, oh, we have a woman driver, like because we have to. It's because they actually genuinely want to give a female driver like Juju this opportunity. Also, another random fact about her. Now we have talked about her being in Super Formula, but she has also been a lot of places in her single seaters career so far. Random side note is she actually raced in the Danish Formula 4 series at one point. So like that shows she has really been around. She actually, I believe, took pole position and won her first race in Danish F4. So like very great to see.
Yeah, exactly. She's worldwide.
Yes, and it's nice to see her continuing this relationship with Jaguar. And now the other driver they chose is, I am so sorry to the people who know him, but I've never heard about him.
No.
But driver named Bryce Aaron, who is currently doing Indy Next, so pretty much like the feeder series of IndyCar. So very nice to see him joining this Formula E rookie test, getting some experience here in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Making the move over from America. Maybe that's why we don't know him. We don't know a lot of American drivers who race in America, but interesting to see. And, with the rookie test, I'm always interested to see where these rookies go from this test because it is a great platform. So, yes, I think we can probably move on to Lola, who had Hugo Barter and someone who we know very, very well, Richard Vachur.
Yes, obviously when we say Richard Vachur's name, it almost feels like he's still a feeder series driver just because he was in F2 for so long. Finally, he has moved on. He is now driving in ELMS this season, and he's also a McLaren something driver, development driver-ish. I don't
Yeah.
even remember what his official title is. But nice to see him also stepping into Formula E, getting his first taste. I believe this is his first test in a Formula E car. So interesting to see.
I have zero notes about Hugh Barter.
I wrote something down about him. Let me find it. What did I have to say about him? Oh yeah, actually, he is a previous F3 driver.
Oh!
I don't remember him. We're sorry, Hugh. I don't remember what team he raced for when it was, but he did used to drive in F3 at some point. And now he is actually Lola's official test and sim driver.
Okay.
Yeah. So makes sense they chose him.
Exactly. Nice to see him getting an outing in the car.
Yes, will definitely help him being more ready to actually do his sim work. And if anything happens, I don't think he's like a real reserve driver, but as a test driver, I'm sure like he can
Yeah.
progress to become reserve driver. So good for him to get some time in the car. Now, moving on to Mahindra. This is where we had like a very exciting lineup because we had the driver who set the fastest time of the test, which we will get to, which was Théophile Naël, F3 driver, obviously. Very impressed to see him. This was his first outing in Formula E, performing super well with the Mahindra's official reserve driver, who's F2 driver Kushmaini.
Yes. I loved to see Théophile getting a chance to be in the Formula E car. I think I should be named the ambassador of the Théophile gender because I don't shut up about him and his potential. I think he is so slept on, and I just think this is another thing he's added to his portfolio. Like, look what I've done. So, very exciting to see the Mahindra lineup.
Yes, definitely. And now we are almost at the end. Only two teams left to talk about. We were like going into this episode
Yeah.
being, oh, it's just gonna be a short, quick little episode, and we have been yapping just about the drivers, not even about what happened yet for like soon ages. But it's fine. We are here to just talk about Formula E, which we all love. If you're still here, I assume you do like Formula E, or you want to get into it. Anyway, our next team was Nissan, with one driver who they have been building a relationship with for some time now, of
Yeah.
course, being previously F1 Academy champion and current GB3 driver Abbi. And with her, we had Victor Martins for Nissan for the first time. It felt wrong seeing Victor there and not Gabriel Mini. Like, I've gotten so used to him being there. Like, I miss him.
I agree. It was really nice to see Abby back there. She does have a great relationship with the Nissan team. And yeah, I'm interested to see because like they don't have to have women here. So I just love when a team actually dedicates behind a woman and gives them the chance because a lot of the time in motorsport you can see men who are chosen over women. But I feel like in Formula E they are so good with that.
Yes, they are definitely pushing towards actually getting more female participation in the series because, like, yes, they do not have a current female driver on the grid, but obviously this is the things that they need to build on to be able to get a female driver in the near future. So that is very positive to see. Also, the fact that they have actually like really supported Abbi for quite a while. Now, I believe she did do her first time in a Formula E car back in 2024. So like there's definitely some commitment to actually help her develop, and that definitely showed in the times as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we can probably move on to our final team of two drivers that we don't really know that much. And sorry if we mispronounce anything here. If you have any tips on how to pronounce their names, please leave them below. But we have Porsche, and starting off with Ilya Weiss. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. If I'm wrong, please let me know. He actually became the youngest driver to test in Formula E last year because he just celebrated his 16th birthday just before the Berlin rookie test. So interesting. I like that, sometimes with the rookie test, we do see more developed rookies, but he is in the UAE 4 series. So he's competing quite low and still in a Formula E car, which is very interesting to see.
Yes, I was very surprised to see him as well. Obviously, this is not his first time, as you mentioned. He also did
Yeah.
do the Berlin rookie test when it was held in Berlin last year. But yeah, seeing him being in F4 still, when you compare it to, yes, there are some drivers that are also only in F3, but like at the same time, there are also drivers who are like established now in WEC and like actual real, like not feeder series drivers anymore. It's very
Yeah.
surprising to see a driver all the way down on the F4 level, but it definitely seems to be like a long-term commitment to him to like develop him. Also, like it makes sense with Porsche being German, picking a German young driver that they can develop and hopefully maybe when he is ready get into Formula E.
Exactly.
Yeah. And now we have the driver, who we will definitely mispronounce his name, so we are sorry in advance to all our Turkish listeners.
Yes.
Um, so the final driver in the
You
rookie
got it.
test. Okay, I'll do my best here. His name is Ian Jan Guven or something. Maybe I should have just said that quicker and you wouldn't have noticed how wrong that was. But him, we also probably put his name on the screen because that was probably said very wrong. But
Yeah.
he, now talking about the youngest driver in the field, I think like he's not the oldest driver now, this driver, but he is like up there because he is also a WEC driver, previous DTM champion as well. So like definitely a great driver. I feel like in some ways Porsche's lineup like is very different to what the other teams have gone with.
I agree. They've kind of gone with people that you might not necessarily expect or know that well, whereas the other teams have kind of gone for who you would expect to see.
Yes, but now we've been talking about the gyros for probably too long. So now we'll move on to something else. First, before we talk about the bare minimum of what we have learned from what happened in the test, I do still think it is important to mention, like, why do they even have this rookie test? Now, obviously, it used to be held in Berlin. Now, since Madrid is a new circuit to the FE calendar, they have decided to switch it to here. That doesn't change anything about the format though. And obviously the reason for the rookie test is to give these talented younger drivers, rookie drivers, the opportunity to develop and learn in FE and to be able to show their potential. So maybe some of them can get full-time seats in the series from proving what they've got in these tests. And like, a clear example of that is definitely, we have to talk about Taylor Barnett, obviously, because he did the rookie test and is obviously a very respected Formula E driver now.
Exactly. He did the rookie test, became reserve driver, had to step in, showed his potential, then got a seat. So it makes sense why they have this rookie test. They have rookie tests and they have rookie free practice sessions as well, but it's just so important As well as teams are getting data from this, going around the circuit, developing their car, but then also giving these drivers time behind the wheel when they probably wouldn't have. And it's a whole full day, lots of track time. So just very, very important for the series overall.
Yes, and it's definitely great to see them having these tests. Also, obviously, they do have them in most motorsport series, but it
Yeah.
is very positive to specifically for this series see what we already mentioned, that there is this mix of male and female drivers, while there are still, of course, more male drivers, but still seeing the progression of there being 4 female drivers this time was very positive to see.
Exactly.
Yes. And I guess now we can actually talk about what happened in the test. Again, we don't know too much because obviously it wasn't broadcasted.
No.
So we only really have the times and a report from each session. And I will say the morning session, we kind of got some information. And then the afternoon session, they were kind of like, we're done for the day. This is the times. Goodbye.
We're in Spain. Maybe they had a siesta and they were like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm done.
Probably, honestly, but I guess we can start with the morning session then. That was also where the fastest time of the day was set, where we had a Mahindra 1-2. In general, I feel like Mahindra, for whatever reason, really show themselves off in these tests.
Yeah.
I feel like they're often up there. Obviously, also they did perform well in Formula E in general in Madrid
Yes.
in the weekends, so like makes sense. But yeah, as we already mentioned, it was Théophile Naël with his debut Formula E outing putting in the fastest time of the day.
Which very, very unexpected, but not
Yeah.
to me. No, no, no.
No.
I expected him to be up there, and I would not be surprised if we continue to see him in these Formula E rookie tests, because we do tend to see them fielding similar drivers whenever they get the opportunity.
Yes, because like it do make sense to like continue to build on what you have already like put your time, effort, and money, let's be real, into instead
Yeah.
of just picking a bunch of different drivers. So it will be interesting to see if he continues on doing these tests. Also, some drivers we've seen in the past has like swapped around with different teams. Could also see that happening. I know for a fact, obviously, because for those who don't know, Frederick Vesti is my number one driver. And he has also done the rookie tests in the past. Actually, his first test was for Mahindra, but he then the year after swapped to Andretti. So like, will be interesting to see if we'll see Théophile Naël at Mahindra again, or if he will change teams to like see what that is like, build more relationships, I assume. But yeah, super impressive, even though we do know Théophile is an incredibly talented driver. The first weekend in F3 this season is like not reflecting how good he was at all. It's just like, oh, so frustrating
Yeah.
seeing him getting a time penalty for such a small thing, making a jump start in F3. But that is not important now. Now we
No.
are in Formula E. And I will just say, obviously, it is just testing, so we can never use time like for much, but still setting a time that was faster than Kushmini, who's obviously more established driver, also has been with Mahindra for longer and is literally their actual reserve driver, is very impressive.
Yes. I will say I did hear a couple drivers complaining about traffic and they couldn't get laps in or so. So we do have to bear that in mind. Like, we don't get the full picture really, as we know, with basically no information, but was really impressive to see him on debut putting his foot down and showing what he's got.
Definitely. And then after the Mahindra drivers, we had again teammates wanting to be together because we had TS Penske, Nikita Bedrin, and Daniel Kvyat being third and fourth fastest of the morning session. Again, also Nikita Bedrin actually being the faster of the drivers. Slightly surprising, I would guess, because obviously he is the younger of the two, so you would guess like less experienced, but still very positive to see because Nikita Bedrin also went on to actually be fastest in the afternoon session, so he definitely had something to show for sure.
Yeah, he got that momentum. And what we kind of saw from this test is what we see at every single other test. The morning sessions are putting in the fastest time, the track kind of plateaus, and you don't really get anything else from the afternoon. So just bear that in mind.
Yes, and yeah, there's not a lot to talk about because the no, not the race report, but the test report was very much just then this person was this fast and this fast. But I guess we should mention that Zach O'Sullivan was fifth fastest.
Yeah.
And obviously we have
Don't
hyped him
leave
up.
him out.
No, we
Don't
can't
move
just
on.
skip Zach. I'll give this to you. What do you want to say about Zach being fifth
Well,
fastest?
you know what? He did great. I was happy with
Yeah.
fifth, especially because he did have like a little bit of a moment in turn three and went through the gravel. That's all the information that we have. He did not cause a red flag, which we will get onto because we did have some other drivers causing red flags. But I think a positive run, like he seemed happy with what he did. I think because Zach is their official reserve driver, I don't think he was pushing to get the fastest time. He was going through the plan that Envision wanted him to do and what they wanted him to get out the car. So I don't think he was showing all of his potential.
No, we will never know, obviously, but we will know if he gets that seat. Like, come on,
Yeah.
guys, give him a seat next season so we can see him push to the limit. We'll all love to see that. Now, Pocher was sixth fastest for Citroën. I guess good for him. Again, there's not much to say
No.
about it. He was up there. Impressive to see. Also, I will say now I skipped the driver, but in eighth position, we did have Abbi pulling, which I feel like
Yes.
has to be mentioned. Now, I already said that she is also like the female driver with the most experience in Formula E machinery, but nevertheless, it's still very impressive to see what she managed to get out of the Nissan car.
Yes, exactly. I definitely think she's building on that relationship with Nissan and being in this car and getting used to it.
Yes, I will also say that I'm really excited to see what she can do in GB3 this season, where she's racing. Obviously, now last year she finished P10 in that championship, but she definitely had like a period of that season that was kind of off for her. There was some issue with her car that once they figured out, she started really performing well again. So, like, seeing her continuing on with Rodin, I honestly have really high expectations for her in GB3 this season, and I cannot wait to see how well she does.
I totally agree. It can also be hard for a driver to come into it, like a championship as a rookie, or like in these tests, not really knowing that car very well and then building on it. That's why I feel like Théophile is so impressive in that sense, because he's just jumped in and not done much prep work. But it's always so nice to see those drivers who may have struggled a little bit their first outing in the car now really settle in and get used to it and perform better.
Yes, and now, so we don't just go through all the times, I
Yes.
will mention, as you said, there was a red flag during the session. I believe the first red flag was for Callum Voisin spinning out, had to had his car recovered back into the pit lane, so not really the session he would have wanted.
No, he did get out again, luckily, so it wasn't like the car was completely broken, and he got out again in the morning as well as the afternoon. So not everything was lost, but our other red flag was caused by Ilya, and he had a stoppage on track. That's all we've got. Stoppage on track.
Yes.
But at turn one, but he ooh,
I
he
actually
also
believe
had a
he created a red flag where he ended up in the gravel as well. So I don't know if he
yes.
had like two separate things, but I saw a picture where he actually also found the barrier in the gravel, like so had quite a big moment compared to the other drivers.
Yes, we do know he is a rookie. He is young as
Mm.
well. So we are going to see these mistakes. But I think that was probably the biggest moment from the morning session.
Yes, and it was also close to when the session was done, so I don't
Yeah.
believe they restarted it. But yeah, then obviously there was a break and we went into the afternoon session. And this is where I said, like, looking at the report, it was very much like Théophile Naël at the fastest time of the day. Nikita Bedrin was fastest in the afternoon session, and that was it according to the Formula E website, kind of.
They basically only had one tiny little pause, no red flags by any drivers, and they just had to clear up some gravel. So obviously someone had gone a little bit wide and caused some gravel to come onto the circuit. But that is literally all the information we have from the afternoon session. If you know any more, let us know, because I would like to know more. Like, it's all fun and games following them on this live tracker around the circuit, but you can't sit there for like 5 hours.
No. Also, I will say now, when we look at the times overall, even though we do give a lot of praise to Théophile and Naël for being fastest, I will say now, even though not the fastest times were not set in the afternoon, the time Nikita Bedrin, however, the time he set in the afternoon session was absolutely so close to Théophile and Naël's time. Like, he was only 0.034 seconds
Yeah.
off the time Théophile set. So I will definitely give a lot of credit to both of these drivers being so close to each other. Very good performances from both of them, and I'm sure they'll be happy with what they showed throughout the test.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I have anything else to note from the test. I feel like those were the biggest moments. Most of the information that we got, we are giving to you as well.
Yes, also, like, the only other note I do have before we can end up the episode is, of course, now that it is testing, you can very much see that it is testing, and it is a lot of different drivers at a lot of different levels and testing different things. Obviously, not all of them are asked, like, go out and push. A lot of them are just asked, like, do a lot of different run plans of testing stuff. Also, they
Yeah.
did do a lot of laps, but having a whole day, so definitely very valuable to teams and drivers. So, like,
Yes.
the time spread, like, of how different the times were actually insane, because there was almost 4 seconds between the slowest time of the day of, like, that
Yeah.
driver's fastest time to, like, the fastest time. So, not saying that the slowest driver was bad, but, like, you can definitely
No.
tell, like, a test session with a big time spread.
Exactly. People are testing all different things. Like, it's, as you mentioned, it's not just for the rookies to get a chance in the car, it's also for the teams to test their car and continue to make changes to it. So there's so much going on, but I just think that it's so important that we have this test for all the drivers that were in it. So I thank you, Formula E, for doing
Yeah.
it and for giving us a little taste of drivers who we may not have seen on track. I mean, I know we technically didn't see them on track, but we may have missed them. We got some of our feeder series favorites on track, as well as others who we haven't seen for a little while. So I really, really enjoyed the test. I hope you enjoyed us covering it as well. I know it's something a little bit different, but please let us know if you'd like us to continuing covering Formula E. We probably might anyways, because I just love Formula E, but
Yeah.
let us know if you enjoy it.
Yes, please do let us know, because we would love to create more content on
Yeah.
Formula E. Now, of course, we are, for the most part, a feeder series podcast. However, obviously, Road to Glory. FE is also, like, actual Road to Glory, Road to the Championship. Like, it's a great championship, and
Yeah.
we'll love to cover more of it. Also, before we leave you, let us know in the comments who of these rookie drivers you see joining the grid in the future.
I know what my answer is.
Yeah, that is very obvious. 100%. No questions asked.
But what is your answer? So let us know. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? um, but thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all of our socials. If you're on Spotify, make sure to follow us. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. There's a link tree linked, and you can find all of socials there. But we really hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you same time next week. And yeah, bye.
Bye.